For as great as the NES is, they sure released a lot of games that didn't deserve that seal of quality. How are you feeling? You got John Riggs here talking about the games in this book, the Ultimate Nintendo Guidebook, that received 1 star or less. A lot of games to cover. I'm not covering, good lord, it's heavy. In this video, I'm only covering the licensed games. I'm not covering all the Color Dream games and stuff like that, because there'd be too many of them. So of the 678 licensed games, there's a good 31 games or so that received 1 star or less. And some of them are worth defending, but let's check them all out in this video. And if you agree with a 1-star rating on any of the games on this list, you have to hit subscribe. Up first is AD&D Heroes of the Lance. Completely justified to get a low rating because you cannot just pick up this game and start playing it. You won't have a clue what you're doing. And although, yes, this game was released during a time when games included instruction manuals, you shouldn't need an instruction manual. You should just be able to just pick it up and start playing it. And this game, not a lot going on, man. You also have AD&D Hillsfar. Now, of the AD&D games, this is the one that goes for a little bit more money. And it looks like it could be kind of a cool game. But then the more you're playing it, the more you're walking around, not so much. What about the Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle? This had a little bit of a resurgence, it seemed like, in the early 90s. So why not put it on the NES? Well, good question. Better question is, why would you put it on the NES? This is a terrible game. I mean, it looks great. I think the graphics are right up there with what the cartoon looks like and everything. It just doesn't play well. Now, Alien 3 by LJN, I thought this was actually a pretty decent game. I wouldn't have given it a 1 star, maybe a 2 star at least. But I think the graphics are pretty cool, and yes, although the jump button and the shoot button are kind of weird in this game, I had a lot of fun with this game. So it may have received a 1 star in an Ultimate Nintendo Guidebook, but I think it's worth a little bit more than that. Well, not much more, but a little bit more. Back to the Future 2 and 3. I mean, if I knew what I was actually doing, maybe. It just looks so generic. They could have done a lot with this game. They could have had a lot of fun with this game. Talking about Back to the Future 2 and 3. You don't even need 3, just do a Back to the Future 2 game. That would have been great. But no, instead we get this. That's too bad. The Blues Brothers, I was a big fan of the Blues Brothers here. And unfortunately, I gotta say, the 1 star is justified because the controls are slippery, you're moving too fast, the jumping is really weird, really awkward. I mean, big levels, I'll give it that, but not much beyond that. Classic Concentration, we got a game show on this list. And I'm here to tell you, I really like this NES game, so I was a little sad to see that it only got the 1 star treatment. Now sure, it's just memory matching. I loved the game show when I was growing up. When you memory match, it unlocks part of the puzzle in the background, you solve the puzzle. It's like a play on words puzzle. And that's how you beat the stages here. Yeah, it didn't score very well in the book, but it scores very well with me. Color a Dinosaur. Yeah, no. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, man, I have a friend of mine who actually unironically likes this game, and I still, to this day, I've seen videos of people playing it online, people who are really good at this game, and I still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in this game, outside of not getting hurt. It looks like it could be kinda cool. Or if the entire game was just the side-scrolling, like when you're Mr. Hyde, like shooting the guys and stuff like that, if that was the whole game, it may not be a terrible game. Unfortunately it is, and so unfortunately it is. Alright, here's Dragon's Lair. This is the NES version. This is the game that got the bomb. Because there's no way to play this game and not die 1,000 times in a row. The controlling's weird, the controlling's awkward. It's weird because you move slow. Now, if you play the European release, you actually move a lot smoother and faster. Doesn't make it any easier, but maybe a little bit more playable. And even if you can get through the first stage, you ain't gonna last long. Alright, so we have Fisher-Price, Perfect Fit. Now, although I can't quite comment on this, however, I do remember my kids, when they were much younger, they played this game pretty regularly, so knowing that, I would have given it better than a 1 star, because my kids liked it, and they were the perfect age for a game like this back then. George Foreman's Knockout Boxing should have been a great game. I mean, you talk about George Foreman, one of the best. It looks a little bit like a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. That's when it stops, because it does not play like a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You don't really phase the guy. You punch him, they punch you. I mean, there's no strategy outside of don't get punched. And I mean, you can't really do much beyond that. It's just it's almost a battle royale of who can swing quicker. Ghostbusters, again, it was a game that most people played because, hey, Ghostbusters, absolutely fantastic, I love it. And they could have made this a much better game. Now, I understand where they were going with this. They were trying to give you the whole Ghostbusters experience, driving around New York, getting the tools that you need to capture these ghosts and stuff like that. There's a lot of driving back and forth and stuff like that. And the ghost capturing itself, it's not terrible, but they could have done a lot more with this game. Yeah, it's justified for sure. They made 2 Where's Waldo games. This is the Great Waldo Search. Now this one's a little bit better than the other one. However, it's not still great because it's a little almost too easy, if that makes sense. Where's Waldo shouldn't be like that. And there's other stuff to find in this game too, but it's worth playing for like about 5 seconds and you're like, all right, next. Now, Home Alone apparently got more than 1 star, but Home Alone 2 did not. I remember renting this game when it came out. There's not really much you're doing. You're running away, and like when the enemies are like the grandmas dancing around and luggage and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the kind of game you're getting into with a game like this. Oh boy. Have an early release with Hydlide. Another buddy of mine really likes this game, and I've tried getting into it. I bet if I would have played this game when it first came out, I probably would have liked it a little bit more through the nostalgia glasses. And I was aware of its existence, but I just never got around to playing it. I didn't have any friends who had it. It wasn't available for rent at my local stores, so it was a pass for me until later in life. Unfortunately, probably a little bit too much later. If you could slash your sword instead of just crash into the enemies, it'd be 1,000 times better. Unfortunately, you just have to hold your button to attack them, and sometimes you end up getting hurt yourself. The Last Ninja is another game that should have been fantastic. We got ninjas, absolutely. Isometric view, which kind of gives it a cool look, and that's about where it ends. The fighting's a little weird, the jumping's a little weird. It's not really, I mean, it's based on a PC game, right? So it's like, you try to put it on an NES cart, doesn't always work out that great. The Last Starfighter is another game that could have been amazing. Unfortunately, you just kind of go back and forth over this thing. Sometimes you move too fast, you end up crashing. You'll crash into stuff more than you'll get shot down by other like enemies or anything like that. They should have just made it like the game that you played in The Last Starfighter, and that would have been okay. I mean, give it an Asteroids clone, anything else. Not this. Got a basketball game on the list with Magic Johnson's Fast Break. It is just, I mean, yeah, it's Magic Johnson in it, which is kind of cool, but it's just kind of your cookie cutter basketball game. And when there's so many other great basketball games already on the NES, this was kind of a pass. No pun intended. NFL football. Now you have the licensed teams, that's kind of nice, but oh man, this game is a chore to play. Definitely deserves the not very good ranking. Rambo makes the list, and I'm here to tell you, I love this game. It would have never won Graphics of the Year or anything like that, but it's a bit of that Metroidvania style. You know, I was such a big fan of Zelda 2 that this reminded me a little bit like that, where you get your experience points by, you know, defeating the enemies and everything. You have your weapons you can choose from. Big area to explore, going through the forest and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of this game. I was a little sad to see that it got, you know, not a very good ranking in this one, but I'm here to tell you, I think Rambo's great. I still like it today. RoboCop 2, do not let the Data East name fool you. This game was made by Ocean. And you can tell it's made by Ocean because graphics, bright, colorful, sparkly, and then when you're moving around as if everything is on ice and you're wearing banana peels for shoes, the gameplay will do it every time, man. I mean, if it looked like this and it played like Mega Man, it would be great. I mean, if it looked like this and the play controls were tight, like when you stopped walking, you actually stop walking and not slide, you know, none of that. Dude, it's unfortunate, but yeah, that's RoboCop 2 for you. Rocket Ranger was a game I was interested in playing when I saw the screenshots of it. And then when I played it, I lost that feeling pretty quickly. There's more to this than what you're seeing on screen. Unfortunately, it doesn't make it any better. Roger Clemens Baseball could be a great game, and here's where it fails. Now, up front here, when you see this, you're like, okay, it's a baseball game, and the baseball video games are actually generally pretty good. But when you actually hit the ball and it goes to this screen, that's when it throws your controls all off. And it's not uniform to how baseball games should operate. Yes, it looks cool, but you're just trying to play the game. You don't want it to look cool, you want it to play cool. And this game does not play cool. Sorry, Roger Clemens. Super Pitfall is unsurprisingly on the list. The very first thing most people do, you walk over, you go down the ladder, that happens every time. Alright. Swamp Thing, another game that should have been really cool, man. You got Swamp Thing, I love the character and everything. But then it looks generic. It has like the same, it's borrowing the same sound effects as the Simpsons games, and the Simpsons games weren't great either. And this has just a difficulty level that makes it so you can't even pass the first level, at least I can't. It goes for a pretty penny now. I remember paying $2.99 for this at Software Etc. when they were liquidating NES games. It's worth less than that, however, as far as gameplay goes alone. Ultima, Warriors of Destiny, the Ultima games generally are really good. I mean, Ultima, you got this whole, Lord British thing, things are happening and stuff. But when you see what this game actually looks like, and it's at that weird kind of odd angle, the angle just throws everything off, and unfortunately, it also makes the game not very playable. Oh, don't tell me you're actually surprised to see X-Men on this list here. Such a huge letdown. X-Men, great comic, great cartoon for its time too. I think this game came out before the cartoon. And you're the X-Men! Unfortunately, it's just hard to control and hard to play. Again, it has that weird angle. It was such a letdown, and this game itself is just not worth playing. Wayne Gretzky Hockey made the list too, and I don't know if I agree if it's going to be a 1-star. I would give it a little bit better than that, because it actually plays like a pretty decent-ish hockey game. Yes, there are better hockey games on the system, but it's not terrible. But it's also, again, not great. Wayne's World, another far more expensive game than it should be. Not that the Super Nintendo version's much better, but Wayne's World for the NES, not a great game. Because they try to make it, if it was like cartoony and everything, that might be okay, but they're trying to do like actual proportions of the characters on here. You play through Garth, you play as Wayne. I kind of like the fact that Wayne just like does like the sweet chin music every time, a little kick everywhere. Yeah, definitely deserving of 1 star or less. The original Where's Waldo is on this too. If you haven't played Where's Waldo on the NES, it is an experience to be had. Because the levels look like this. And Waldo changes around, I don't know how many possibilities there are, 1 of 10 or something. And sometimes Waldo doesn't exactly look like Waldo. Now sometimes you get it. It's okay, blue pants, red, white striped shirt, fine. But then like later levels, like more difficult levels, he's green for some reason, or like in the back of a truck for some reason. It is an experience and definitely worth playing, but also definitely worth the 1 star or less. Do you want to defend any of the games on the list? Let me know in the comments. If you're looking for some great hidden gems on the NES, I did this video quite a while ago, but the list still holds up. That's the best part about doing retro content is all the games are already out there. Click that subscribe button, I would appreciate it, and we'll see you again in another video very soon.